Hey, welcome back. um, Gotta get better at the intros. I know. Listen, I'm just doing a quick video to update you on some things that I just did in the public market share college prospect, whatever database it is that I'm working on all the time. Um, and also like plans in and around the NFL draft, and for after that, specifically started to think more intensely about live streams because while they're fun, they're really kind of ad hoc, and I think I kind of scuffed it. Like I think we can have a purpose for them. Learning from Tanho at Tanho and Twitter at DLF like real nerd, he's been very project orientated, and I'm like I could have done some stuff. So yeah, that's what this video is. Quick update. I'm going to tell you what's new and what's not yet new in the database. Few exciting things that you might be interested in, I think. And then yeah, do a what we're going to do in and around the draft. That I know of so far. So hey, how you doing? Let's do a YouTube, shall we? Let's YouTube together. I guess. Okay, so this looks boring. This isn't a good first screen to start on, but I tell you what, let's Pete, get it together. It's really late, okay? Like I do this stuff at weird hours, but if you're interested in my database, it's linked in the description on YouTube. I believe it's called below. But you can also find it if you just go to my Twitter page. It's a pinned link, and that sends you to the pinned link on Patreon. And from there, you click the link. You notice I haven't had to pay any money. It is free. I just host it on Patreon because I'd like you to maybe know I have one, and I don't like mentioning it. So it sends you straight here. And again, it's got links to two other databases, which you kind of have to be a Patreon to get into, but that's not important because the really important tab is this source tab. Again, I've done a whole tour, tab by tab of this database, and I'm just going to do a quick what's new. So if you're interested in more what's in here and how important this source tab is, and you know, there's a formula and results tab and what all this means, like I got a video for that, like so like there's those. But what did I add? What have I added? I've added a few players. For a start, Hunter Long, who is, according to some, I haven't done a profile on him yet, and I know the draft's coming, and I really have to speed up and do my last few running backs and a few tight ends and just nip it in the bud and get ready to do pre-draft takes. But I'm just kind of lazy. That's why I'm up early in the hours talking about a database. That's that. But yeah, I added Hunter Long because he wasn't in there purely because I didn't have a date of birth. Now, as some people have been asking me on the Patreon Discord, and this happens almost every year because there are deeper prospects I don't have in the database, and I get asked, where's Cade, blah, 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 and Mr. Trask, and it's because they didn't play in the CFB. They don't have stats on College Football Reference or Pro Football Reference's sister site that tracks college football sites. Now I can, and I used to go through college websites and include them all in there, but here's the thing, they're not a good sample of statistics. Like you can't compare those statistics to the ones at the CFB. Even in the Independence Conference, they're not really the same thing. And it would be great to create a separate, I guess, database for those guys. But I think it's better just to say if they've garnering interest in the NFL draft or for your teams, just tick the productive box. Because there's no way they got there without being in some level of productive. And any measure from those systems, I've kind of find them to add noise. And where I kind of like to have the database where you can create a sample and then start running tests as quickly as possible. That noise ended up being counterproductive, especially since it was taking me hours to research one prospect to get him fully lined in, because you have to go back and you have to dig out the team history and stuff. But if you do want to see them, let me know and I'll go back to doing that. But it's a lot of work for stuff that actually makes the sample worse. But I'll do it. I'm a man of my Patreons, purely and simply. But for now, if you're really interested, I do know that FF Spaceman, Dave Wright, at FF Spaceman on Twitter, co-host of the Tale of Two Rivals, who really I feel like I inspired, But he probably wouldn't tell the story that way. But I do know he's already still doing that work, and his database, like mine, an homage to the master, really. He is still pumping that out, and his database, like mine, is free. He has a Patreon, but like mine, you just click the link and you get it. So you can go and see the few that I don't have. So yeah, heads up. Worth knowing about Spaceman anyway, but it is still out there. There's always a free nerd willing to go, yeah, let's all play together and have some free data instead of having to get behind a paywall. That's the way this works, right? But that was a long talk about Hunter Long, but he is in the database as well as a few other players. Like I added in Tyreek Hill. I see relatively little use. I always forget to add Tyreek Hill because he basically didn't play in college, and when he did, he was a utility player. But I added him because someone asked, and a few other players like that as well. So yeah, a few more rookies are in the database. Perhaps more in line with things that you could or could not be excited about. Any less. I finally started to add pro day numbers into the database. So you will find a few rookies like Rashad Bateman, Chaterius Atwell, Elijah Moore. In fact, I would hesitate to say 90% of the rookies that are in the database right now, at least, have the combine stats I'm willing to track in there. I keep playing with adding arm length, but I used to track a lot more combine stats, and I've just become decreasingly less interested in the combine as time has moved on. So now I track the basic ones that you can use to calculate most of the other ones. Height, weight, bench 40, 3-cone, shuttle time, vert, broad jump in inches, height adjusted speed score, weight adjusted speed score. Again, all the formulas for the few adjusted speed scores I've got are in the formula tab. But yeah, they're in there for this year's rookie class. I don't have all of them just yet because it's very much a manual entry thing at the moment. But they're in there. You can see Jamar Chase didn't look up. Damn it, because he's got the little apostrophe in his name and manual entry sucks. But I'll fix him pretty soon. Or unless he hasn't his pro day yet. I'm pretty sure he's had his pro day. Anyway, so yeah, running back, tight end, even quarterback. Their combine stats are in there by and large, and I'll make sure I get that nailed down before the draft for everyone that's got pro day numbers, because that's fun for me. I just combine. But I love working for you, so don't worry about it. What else did I add? Oh yeah, the by year tab, which I've been using in my profile videos, actually, has got pretty much, and the upload into Google Sheets this time, like it was a little complainy. It was a little, wow, you sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You want to put them in this sheet? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I would like to put it in this sheet, please, Google. And Google's like, I don't know, maybe you need a few minutes to think about it. It's like, no, I'm good. Okay, we'll wait. I don't think it liked it. At this point, successive uploads and updates, and it tracks all of those in Google Sheets. You should know. I'm running out of room in my Google storage device. But the by year tab doesn't just have the players in the position tabs, because you need everyone. So even players that weren't NFL relevant or didn't become NFL relevant so far are in here. So if you go look up at any of your Draft Crushers seasons and look it up by year and by team, you're going to see the players that aren't yet declared. You're going to see the players who were never declared back in 2000. And again, I've got all data going from 2000 all the way to last year. And so it's a pretty big tab. Like it's 35,736 lines. And now I say that, I realize that's about a third of the data I've got. So I was trying to limit it to not offensive line, not O-line, not defensive players, not really utility players. I converted fullbacks to running backs. And so there is still a lot that we could do with it, but I keep mentioning this update, and I've yet to receive like a overwhelming, yeah, put all the work in for that. But here's the thing, like this is how stats are normally listed. Like you see the years and the stats right next to it, and I think it's useful. Like I really enjoy looking through players' seasons after I've done the profile. digging in and seeing how well they fit in with their team. Were they very far above the average? And so I don't have all their stats in there, just like how they ranked in terms of their team positional PPR scoring and their conference, which I think is an interesting one just to take a look at. And then I've got their basic draft information in case you wanted to sort it based on, let's just see players from this team drafted in the whatever round or so, and then their advanced stats, which really aren't that advanced, but whatever. And I just included weighted yards per team pass attempt, which is weighted yards per team attempt, which is a stat we specifically use for running backs in the running back tab. Then I've got yards per team pass attempt, which we more primarily use for wide receiver and tight end. And then I've got yards per team attempt, because I think that's an interesting way of looking at all three at the same time. But anyway, I've then got the same stats, but weighted by the team average and weighted by the conference average. You don't have to pay a lot of attention to all of those. I just think it's interesting. Maybe you want to see, without having to skim back and forth between the tabs, maybe you want to see how well that year specifically compared to the team average that year. And so those are the yearly averages above and below. And I thought that was a pretty interesting look. And then you've got the more traditional, the receiving percentages. So the percentage of receptions, yards, touchdowns of everyone on the team that year, sans a few, offensive linemen catching touches and so on and so forth. For passing stats, I've just got their completion stats in there. Sorry, guys. So you can see I don't have their raw stats. It's not 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's more looking at the stats we typically look at for prospects into the NFL on a year-by-year basis, looking at the whole college system. At the end, I do have the NFL statistics, just in case you wanted to filter it that way. Like, let's look at, players that played in the year 2000 that had 2 top 12 seasons in the NFL, whatever, just because I could. So I added it in on the end here where you can't see because I can't scan my screen across that far on Google Sheets. But yeah, I added the by year tab, and I think it's a pretty fire tab. I'm surprised more people haven't wanted to see stats lined out by year instead of by age going across, by year going down. I know, play around with it, see what you think. I can keep modding it, keep adding into it. We can do better with it, as we always do these things. I think maybe we should have a little formatting in on the years so that 2001 doesn't blend into 2000. So, it's a little visually not cool. But, we're working on it, and we're working on it for free. So let me know what you guys think and what I can do to make it better. So what else? A few extra players added, combine stats added for this class, a by-year tab. That's about it for now, I think. The hit rate lookup thing is still in there and working. And just in case you weren't aware, I've told you these are in there before, but if you go to make a copy of it and then hit this little icon, you can see all the hidden tabs. That's really in there just not to scare away, it already scares away a lot of people that aren't really into stats. But if you want to see wide receiver hit rates or running back hit rates or draft capital hit rates or drafted rate, which is something that I include in the positional tabs anyway, you can see all those. I'm not hiding them from you. I'm just trying to not scare someone away when they first open it up and already see what is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 12 tabs in there. and 12 tabs that look like this to people that might, hopefully, every now and again be the first time they look at statistics for rookies. And it's already, nerds tell me my database scares them because I think weird and I format it weird and I have it listed weird, apparently. But I like it. And so, yeah, that's why I've got them hidden. It's just to try and make it a little easier to navigate before you really start looking for percentages and hit rates and stuff like that. But yeah. No, I did add one other thing. I was talking about in my last video here on the YouTubes, actually, where I've got the 3-tiered look, just looking for their entire career, how did they compare the team, the conference, and compared to other players who were successful in the NFL when they were in college. Just kind of doing a sum above those averages. Just kind of, if you didn't want to dig in, here's one number to see if they were above or below a generic average for players that were good on that team, good on that conference, and then good compared to players that have gone on into the NFL after that. It's not perfect, but it has pretty decent R-squared scores, better than any one of the other columns before you really start combining them. except for maybe the age adjustment columns, which are present all at the front of the database as well, like the age adjusted in the first, best, last, and then average, and then I also have the age-adjusted one in there for wide receivers. But yeah, it's just a simple look. Like I'm trying to build on this idea what I had, which is doing College Dominator, not just for College Dominator, but also doing the College Dominator formula on yards per team pass attempt, and just receiving yards, so removing touchdowns. Again, just to give hopefully a better... very quick single number look on how well a player compared to others across yards per team pass attempts, instead of having to dig into the numbers and with that 3-tier look in the now green apparently little section, you can see in general how well do they compare to past players in that conference on that team, and then compared to past players that have gone on to do well in the NFL. It's not perfect because you should always take in as much information as possible, but trying to find something that can help people that does... It's too much, Pete. Just give me one thing. Well, there's one thing, you know? So, yeah, that's what that is too. Yeah, I guess that's all of it. Yeah, let's not talk about the quantity in there because it scares me at this point. All right, so that's the database. Again, available on my Twitter timeline, available on my Patreon timeline for free, and in the comments below. Or hit me up sometime on Twitter and say, hey, dude, where's the link? And I'll send you the link. All right, let's talk about the draft, I guess. I have no idea. Okay, I was waiting to say that. Like, I'm very disorganized. You might be able to tell the way I stay up late to do these updates and things. It's really because life, you know, I'm trying to fit this in around actually having a life, believe it or not. And so I ended up keeping weird hours and scheduling things, and I forget I scheduled things. So far, I'm scheduled on 3 different podcasts, I think, live during the draft. Roto Underworld, Matt Kelly from Player Profiler just contacted me and asked me to come on as well. And I think I'm going to be able to make that like late day 1, Friday of the draft. I'm definitely on one podcast between 9 and 10 with, I think, Stephanie Smalls and Matt McCoy. And I'm also on with the Undroppables later than that as well. So I'm on a couple of live streams. You'll see me around. And it's the same on day 2. The Dynasty Dummies asked if I would come on. I was like, dude, I was just waiting. Like, you don't ask. I always go on the Dynasty Dummies. That's the rule. So, yeah, on day 2, I will definitely be in their live stream. Everyone's live streaming the draft but me, is what I gather. Weirdly, the one people that haven't asked me to do something is DLF. Like, sus, you know? No. They've got so many good people to be on anything they're doing that they just, I'm sure I slipped their mind. No, I'm way too busy. And that's not the way DLF works. I didn't volunteer. So it's simple. So, yeah, I'm going to be around. You'll see me on a lot of live streams. I'm going to be going live to Twitter. You can check my Twitter timeline or my Patreon timeline where I'll be live updating where I am or what I'm thinking, as well as posting on Patreon and Twitter fairly regularly about what I think as the draft transpires. So, yeah, I'm going to be hopefully pretty much everywhere. But, yeah, those are my draft plans right now. They're going to get more organized probably about 5 minutes before any of that happens, and I apologize about that, but I don't think anyone's out there like, I was going to write down your schedule, so I knew exactly where you would be. I think you're good, right? You've got plenty of good NFL content, but if you're interested, check my Twitter timeline, take my Patreon timeline, and you'll see when and where I'm at during the 3 days of the draft. And after the draft, obviously, I'll just be talking constantly about undrafted free agents, pretty much. No, that's where the live streams come in. I would keep thinking like I should have been more goal-orientated on them. And here's something that should have occurred to me and has occurred to me before, and we've never done it. I get asked about my projections model all the time, and people are actually asking about buying my projections right now, and I'm like, I've actually been more arguing about BMI on Twitter than doing projections. So, yeah. But in order to get back into the headspace, because I should have them ready right now. Fortunately, no one's hiring me because I just passed everyone that asked. I was like, yeah, I'll get back to you. And then in typical me fashion, I haven't. So, yeah, that happened. So I need to get back in touch with some people who might be interested. But I really kind of like the idea right now of putting them on Patreon, not because of any reason, just because it sounds less complicated, I guess. And also, no one's like offering me money up front or nothing, and Patreon people do. So there you go. I guess that's the way it works in my head. A lot less money, but there you go. That was not shade at all. It was my mind works, and I talk, and I shouldn't do it live, I guess. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, what am I doing with projections? Anyway, to get back in the headspace so I can at least get back to making projections and then maybe have something to show people. Like, this is what I'm up to if you're interested in it. I thought I could live stream more regularly in a week or 2 weeks. Like, there's a big period before the season starts where we normally get bored. And that sounds like a perfect time for a nerd to show you a spreadsheet, you know what I mean? So I was thinking I could start live streaming a little bit more regularly and then creating them as YouTube videos after that, putting it in a separate playlist, and we could just start with a blank spreadsheet and try to end on at least the beginnings or a pretty good build of a projection model. It's not that I need a new one because they're a pain to build, but I want to try out some new ideas, and I get asked all the time about how to do different things, and I thought if we just, because Tanho's building things in R on his live streams, and I was like, to get back in the headspace, why don't I just build another, at least preliminary projection model from start to finish on live stream, and then we could turn it into YouTube videos, and someone that was interested could just watch those at any one point. You know, I live stream for several hours at a time, and if you work on something for several hours a day for like 10 days, you're going to come at the end of it with a pretty good projection model. Frankly, they're not that hard. They're just tedious to build and also work. Projections are work. That's the first warning. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking. After the draft, once the lull before the season starts, because there will be a little lull, I'm thinking of just taking 10 days and trying to live stream regularly for a couple of hours, and we'll build a projection model together. So yeah, those are my plans. Over the next few days before the draft, and I realize that's getting very close now, I'm going to be pumping out rookie profiles, not just because I haven't done them yet for YouTube, but because I honestly have due diligence to do on a lot of other rookies, especially at running back and tight end, and those help me, again, get in the headspace, go and do the work, because there's someone waiting to watch, not that there's anyone waiting to watch these, but at least makes it feel like there's urgency to it, instead of, I'll do it later. So that helps me. I hope it helps me. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few days, and hopefully what the content over here on YouTube is going to be, and hopefully that'll turn into a few more DLF articles too, because I really have to do a better job for those guys. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. That's what's coming in the next few days. Yeah. How are you? Cool. Sorry to hear that. Really glad for you. I thought that would be fun. Anyway, yeah, thanks for checking it out. Let me know if there's something else missing in the database besides Jamar Chase's damn pro day numbers, if he has them, which I'm pretty sure he does. And yeah, let me know what you think about that by year tab if you check it out, because I'd like to know, because I think it's pretty cool. But I think a lot of things are cool that most people don't think are cool. So I'm probably going to need you to tell me, all right? So yeah, hit me up. Thanks very much. Talk to you again next time. Bye.